Yeah, so first of all, I am not going to claim in any way to be an expert in any of this. I have been experimenting over the past few days with building a Twitch overlay using web technologies, um, and this is something that I actually kind of learned. Basically, got the inspiration for from Learn with Jason. All of my best ideas are really just stolen from Learn with Jason. If you're unfamiliar with how that show's overlays work, um, Jason has a basically just a web app up on Netlify, and he pulls that in as a source into OBS, and he's able to like lay his camera on top of that. As part of that overlay, he's got a whole bunch of like wacky events and sound effects and stuff like that. But he's also got a Twitch chat, and I really like this because it means that if I'm Twitch streaming and people are chatting, and I record that video and upload it after the fact to like YouTube, then the Twitch chat goes with it, right? You don't lose that. It doesn't like just disappear into the ether. It's like burned into the video. It's part of the archives. And as I've been looking to start streaming myself, that was something I wanted to try to accomplish. I have some limitations here. While quite a few streamers want to use a tool called Streamlabs OBS, I can't. And the reason for that is when I start streaming, I want to be able to include closed captioning as part of the feed. Streamlabs OBS or SLOBS doesn't have any support for that. However, OBS proper, OBS itself, which you can see here, does. There is a plugin you can install that'll include a closed captioning feed. So that's why I can't take advantage of any of the goodies that Streamlabs OBS gives me. I'm using like just actual OBS for my streams. That is why. So I know that there are other tools, but given the limitations I've set for myself, because closed captioning is important for me as a hard of hearing individual, I'm working with those parameters. If y'all have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out. Additionally, I have a repo that I'm going to be sticking all of our code for this on. I'm going to put this in the live event text channel. Currently, there's nothing there because I like to start from ground zero. Yeah. So a bit about OBS because I have been learning my way through this recently. Actually, first of all, real quick, how familiar are y'all with OBS as a tool? Sounds like Jacob might have some familiarity here. I'm curious kind of where y'all's comfort level is with. Okay, so Ferdo's not comfortable.
I know a lot of people who have talked about it and many people who use it. I've never used it myself. And I know it's like a massive, complicated beast.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure OBS is like Turing complete somehow. I have to believe that.
True.
So, I used it a little bit and failed miserably with it. It is such a complicated piece of software that I kind of gave up, and I bought. I'm like doing it all with hardware now. But it doesn't do nearly the number of things that you can do with OBS with like the cool transitions and stingers and all that kind of stuff. It's very like pared down, but it works for my personality, I think.
For sure. Okay, so OBS, which has let's see, what is the full name? It's like something broadcasting, open broadcaster software. It's a way to curate, basically just combine a whole bunch of feeds from a whole bunch of inputs and generate like one streaming feed that you can then send to Twitch or YouTube or to really any endpoint that will receive a stream. You could also just use it to like create recordings that you save to your device. And yeah, so concept number one in OBS is that OBS starts with what are called scenes. And scenes are the aggregation of all of your inputs piped into one output. And here's what I mean by that. I've actually got a few scenes over here on the left that I've been creating. You can see that there's one in all caps for today that we're going to be working in. But I've been creating, for instance, a scene for like here's what things are going to look like when I'm streaming, right? And so you can see I've got like a screen share, I've got some title, I've got my camera, and then I've got this purple box over here, which is where the chat's going to go. Yeah, very, very ridiculously meta. It's incredible. Um, but yeah, so we're aggregating a whole bunch of sources together, and we're compiling all those sources into one output. You can see we've actually got a few sources over in this panel. So for instance, there's a source for my microphone. And then I've got a source for, well, we'll get to the solo later. We'll get to what this is. But I've got a source called me. It's got a little camera. So this is for my camera feed. So this source right here, if I click it, you can see it's highlighting like my camera overlay. And then I've got like a source for display capture, right? And that is my screen, right? So these are all the different inputs that I've got. I've got a mic, I've got my camera, I've got my screen. If I were to start streaming, all of these inputs would be packaged together into one output. So I want to get to this solo right here, which you can see is highlighting the whole thing. This is a special kind of source that OBS provides, which is the browser source, which allows you to pull up a web page and use that web page as inputs. And to demonstrate that, I'm going to go to our scene here, this React podcast scene. I'm going to click plus. I'm going to choose a browser here. So I'm going to create this. I'm going to call this, React podcast overlay. Give it a name. I'm going to click OK, and it's going to ask me for a couple more properties. So I'm going to give this, to start, I'm going to give this a link to our, link to this GitHub is how I'm going to do this. And for the width, I've just kind of had to memorize these dimensions. And there's a couple of other properties that we can set. But you can see that here, it is pulling up our GitHub feed and loading that into our scene here. Yep, all the metas. So we've taken a web page and we've added it into our scene so that when I, go live, start streaming, I like this is part of the inputs. And I think GitHub's doing some wonky things with like dark mode right now. So I'm actually gonna go here and choose a different page here. So I'm gonna right click on React Podcast there. I'm actually gonna choose Google.
Okay.
So it refreshes, and now we're using the Google homepage as our input here, which is fantastic. So you can imagine how if we have a web page up somewhere, and that web page is doing some interesting things with, sockets or connections and that kind of stuff, it's displaying or having dynamic content, you can imagine that this feed would start updating with all that. We can add other stuff on top of this, right? Like presumably, I'm interested in showing my face, so I'm going to go add another scene here, another source, giving these all incredibly descriptive names here, but React Podcast camera, and we're going to go ahead and use my camera here, which I think, there we go. Cool, still working. So yeah, now I've got like my face and I can put this around, right? And so we can start to see how all these sources come together to build a final feed. Any questions thus far? Doesn't look like it. Cool. So the reason I kind of bring this all up, A, is because I've been playing around with using a browser as a source, and that lets me customize my layout using web technologies that I'm personally familiar with. Also, just to kind of show that even if you're using your browser as a source, you don't have to do everything through your browser. Like, for instance, I'm not trying to pipe my webcam at all to the browser source. Like, I'm having my webcam be its own source. Cool. So we're going to go ahead and use web technologies, build ourselves a nice little web page that's going to hook into Twitch, the Twitch chat specifically, and so that we can actually show a chat on our page. So I've got this nice repo up, and I'm going to prefer to optimize for as core web technologies as possible here. Which means even though the scenes that you're seeing here are built with 11T, and if you were to watch Learn with Jason, those scenes you would be seeing are built now with Toast. I'm going to stick to just straight up vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I'm leaning as heavily towards these core technologies as much as possible because I want these things to be fast. I've got my sources set up to where every time I pull up a new source, like it does a reload of those browser sources. It's like reloading that page, and that means I don't want to have to wait for React to do its thing. I prefer as much as possible to get as much as possible in the initial load. So that's why I'm leaning towards the core vanilla web tech.
That's an interesting point because I would guess that Toast should be pretty fast 'cause it's written in Rust, but I'm not sure if it's like Rust via WebAssembly or like kind of how that works, and that's all like super cutting edge. But that's interesting because I would be curious if native web technology is necessarily the fastest now with things like WebAssembly floating around.
That's totally fair. And I'm also working with the tools that I know, right? Like the most important thing in this kind of in this case, right, is to have that kind of seamlessness of you don't want to know that there's a browser there, right? Like unless you're one of the people who's like interested in seeing how the sausage gets made, you don't want to like every time I switch scenes, which I don't anticipate switching scenes a whole lot, but every time I switch scenes, you don't want to see like the flash of unstyled content, right? So I'm leaning towards the tools that I know of, which favor and HTML as much as possible.
Yeah, totally. That's just something to kind of keep on your back burner.
Yeah. And so to start, I'm just gonna create ourselves a little index HTML. Oh, maybe not with a comma in the name would be helpful. I got a new keyboard recently, and that keyboard is narrower than the like MacBook Pro keyboards, and so I'm still kind of getting used to the layout. Yeah, I'm gonna reply to Matt real quick. All right, cool. So I've got an empty HTML file. I'm gonna go ahead and scaffold this out with our basic HTML templates here. And inside here, we can create, whatever we want, right? We could lay out the page. And in fact, if you were to take a look at the scenes that I've been creating for if you were to look at the source code for the scenes I've been creating, the overlays I've been creating for semantics, you would see that I actually I'm specifying my CSS is down to pixel perfect, just which is not ordinarily how you would want to do web design at all, but just mainly I'm trying to not leave anything up to chance. But you could stick whatever you want in this body, and it's going to get included in the final output here. So I have when I show you my scenes here, I've got down here, I've got a heading element or header element with an H1 in it and stuff like that. And then I've got, elements, regions over here in the sidebar. Today, we're not going to do anything nearly as fancy with our layout. I am just going to create for myself a div ID equals chat box. And in here, I'm actually going to go ahead and create an unordered list. Cool. And at this point, I'm now going to go ahead and start styling this thing. I'm going to do that with some style tags. If we need to break this out into multiple files down the road, maybe we can. But just to start off, like, let's just prove that we can even get our page to have some sort of design. So I'm gonna do a bit of a margin reset on our body here. And then I'm gonna say chat box. I'm gonna give this a fixed size here. So our chat box is going to be 500 pixels wide. We're gonna say it's like 1,000 pixels tall. We'll see if this works. And I'm gonna give this a background color. My favorite CSS color lately has been tomato. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. And let's go ahead and give this. We presumably lay out this page more, a little fancier, perhaps. If we were going all out on making this a lovely layout, but in the meantime, let's not worry about that. So now I'm gonna just go ahead and get that. Okay, so here I just used fancy terminal stuff on the side to pull up this page. And now I think my chat box is perhaps a little too big. So just gonna probably make this something like 750. Yeah, that should work. Cool. And I'm doing this. I pulled this up in the browser because mainly I just wanted to copy and paste my URL because we're gonna do some local file stuff, just to prove that we can pull up our lovely chat box over here. Do we have? Oh, we have a few people teasing with the tomato emoji in the chat. Incredible. Local file. Oh, I can just browse. Even better. Oh, sure. Have all the permissions you need. Then, did I put this in? Oh no. I didn't. Let's see. Twitch overlay. There we go. It's this guy. So I guess I could just select this. Cool. So we've got ourselves our local web page added to our scene. It's great. Background color. Let's make this like white. And I am now going to go back into my browser source settings, and I'm going to say refresh browser when scene becomes active. What that means is every time I switch scenes, it'll reload, and that's how we're going to implement OBS-based hot reloading, is by actually just switching scenes every time. Any questions thus far about kind of the stuff that we've done? Looks like Jacob said, so I'll give him some time. OBS hot reloading. Yes, OBS hot reloading for the win. Yeah. So, pull this down again, and now we're going to, I guess, add some chat events. And I'm actually, I have a feeling it's going to be a little hard to. Now you know what? We'll leave it in there, and we'll adjust for color contrast later once we see how things actually kind of come up. Chan's typing.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's about tomato. Incredible.
It's about tomato. I just remember when you mentioned tomato, I remember this post by John Otander, which is just a beautiful homage to tomato.
All right. Yeah, mandatory tomato reacts. Tomato reacts only in the chat. Cool. Yeah. So we've got ourselves a feed. However, currently we're not doing anything to get the Twitch chat. At this point, I wanted to pose a question for y'all, which is and actually, mainly, I think this is going to be a question for Jacob. Because I have been spending the past few days building out the Twitch chat support using a tool called TMI.js, which I'm pretty sure is actually built. Oh, maybe not TMIJ, but TMI. There we go. I'm pretty sure this is like the official tool built out by Twitch. But there's a wrapper around it that's been built by the community called Comfy.js. I haven't actually had the chance to use this. I wanted to, I guess, pose a choose your own adventure here. For do we want to try to build this functioning Twitch chat using TMI.js or Comfy.js? Go ahead and, if you have a feeling on this, go ahead and just react to one of those two chat messages with just any emoji. Actually, with the tomato emoji. Put a tomato on the one you want us to use today. If you want us to use TMI.js, put a tomato on that one. If you want us to use Comfy.js, go ahead and put a tomato on that one. All right, looks like we have some strongly held opinions, which is that we should be using Comfy.js. So, ironically, this means I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. So we're going to be in the uncomfy.js zone here. Just a fun pun. I'll be here all week. Oh, is Jason a contributor to... Oh, so he is. Yeah. So let's go ahead and use Comfy.js. And because I'm not doing anything fancy with like bundling up our page and anything like that, I'm actually just going to pull the CDN import right here. So I'm going to copy this, stick it up in our head over there. So now we should have Comfy. Cool. I think this should be ready for us to go globally already. So I'm going to add some script tags here just to test this theory out. Oh, I guess it's not going to autocomplete the closing script tag. Wild. Just to test the theory out, I'm going to console.log Comfy.js. I'm going to come back to my browser and not my OBS browser. And gotta pull up. Cool. Looks like we've got ourselves an object. It's got a lot of things in here. So we can see that there's a whole bunch of like event hooks here, like on chat or on cheer, on command, stuff like that. And there's also an init, which I did notice in the docs is required for getting started. So I think that's up here in the top. Yeah. Comfy.js init, we give it a channel name, and we're actually going to leech off of Learn with Jason's chat here today because that is currently live. So, Comfy.js dot init. I'm gonna give this Jay Langsdorff. Rad. And it's giving us this on command. Actually, it's giving us an on chat. I'm going to go ahead and use on chat. And I think all of these events get these parameters. That's the theory that I'm going to be testing out here. This is looking pretty similar to the implementation stuff from TMI.js. At least in terms of these parameters. I was just going to go after my appointment with Dr. So I'm going to test that this is working by just causing chaos and using console.table. This is the way to go. Have y'all seen console.table, by the way? It is far superior to console.log when it comes to logging out objects, at least. Console.dir is excellent as well. We'll see the if you've never seen console.table, we'll see it very shortly. Looks like cannot read. I don't know why. Oh, wait, that's my live expression. Is just like no one chatting on Learn with Jason right now? All right. Yeah, so looks like we've got a question from Makar about console.table. Basically, the idea is it's supposed. Yes. Thank you for sending the link. Basically, it lays out if you're trying to log an object, it lays out your object a little more nicely. Looks like on command is overridden. So there should be an on chat, right? Like on chat. User message. Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Oh, I messed up because I want to set. Yeah, there you go. So I want to set on chat to be this function. Now, if I refresh this, see, we're learning lots of things. Still not seeing any chat stuff though. Leave that up for a bit.
I love how you're just you're just pulling off of like another live stream. That's fantastic.
I had to do that when I was creating my scenes because it's like, you know, I'm not gonna go in there and just like pretend to be myself on my own, like, you know, like, or pretend to be my own audience. So it's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna like, you know, leech off of a stream that exists.
So sorry, just and
Yeah.
I hope you don't mind me interjecting. I just want to kind of make sure that we understand everything. So this init function, you're giving it. Oh wow, crazy! So you're giving it just the username for like a what is it, a Twitch feed?
Yeah. So this is Jason Langsdorf's like channel name. Like you could go to twitch.tv/jlangsdorf and it will pull up. I mean, you can see like we've got some chat stuff, so it's good to know.
And so because it's public, you don't have to authenticate or anything. It's just
right.
You just hook right into it.
Yeah. Twitch, by the way, Twitch chat uses IRC as the underlying technology.
Oh wow, cool.
Yeah. You can see we're getting some chat, and maybe console.table wasn't the best bet for this, but you can see like we're finding like, oh, over here this user is, you know, issuing this command. We can get a whole lot of details. For instance, that so this message object, I'm actually going to retool this a bit because message turns out has a whole bunch of stuff on it. So I'm actually going to have message be its own plug. I'm going to have extra be its own log as well because that's apparently got some fun juice to it. So yeah, let's go ahead and nuke this, save, refresh. And hopefully a few people, yeah, awesome. Already starting to get a message. Yeah, so you can see that we've got ourselves the user's name. We've got what they actually like typed into the chat, and then we've got a whole bunch of like awesome information about, for instance, this user. We can see that they are an active subscriber, so they're currently giving Learn with Jason money. You can see that they're listed as a VIP, but they're not a mod, for instance. So you can get a whole bunch of really cool information this way, and we can start to use this message to just we can start to use this message to populate our very exciting chatbots here. So we're gonna go old school and do some DOM manipulation. And to do that, I want to get access to our chat box UL that we've got here, because we're gonna append all of our messages as list items to this UL. So const chat box equals document.
Ben, isn't this spaghetti code?
Sure. Spaghetti's tasty.
That's funny. Yeah, it's funny. People always say that when like you start doing DOM manipulation directly.
Yeah.
It's like seen as such a bad practice these days.
Yeah. But it's pretty lightweight, especially for what we're doing here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and create ourselves a new message that we're gonna append here. So new message. So every time we create, every time there's a chat, we're gonna create ourselves a new LI, and at the end of the day, we're going to, after we've created this new LI, we're going to just append that new LI to our chat box. And just to prove that this is working here, we can do, we got a bit of background noise from you, Anthony, I think.
Oh, sorry.
You're good. Yeah, so we're just going to, do some inner HTML here. I'm just going to say hello. So to follow, every time there's a chat, we're going to create a new LI. We're going to populate that LI with the text hello, and then we're going to add that LI to our chat box. I'm going to refresh this, and hopefully we're going to start to see, once people send some chats in Learn with Jason, hopefully we'll start to see a bit of, yeah, there we go. Cool. Exciting. Now, this LI, it's pretty great, but it only goes so far, right? Obviously this isn't our message. We probably want to include a bit more information, like for instance, who's saying that message, as well as, what the message proper actually is. So I'm going to now, const sender is going to be, I keep doing new, but it's going to be document.create element. I'm going to say that the sender is a p tag. I'm going to say that their message, const, call this message contents. Maybe this should also be a paragraph, but I'm going to call it a block quote, perhaps. And cool. So before we can actually apply our new message to the chat box, we need to apply our sender and the message contents to the message. So new message dot append child sender and new message dot append child message contents. Cool. Currently, both of these things are empty, though, so they're not actually giving us any information. So let's go ahead and fix that. For our sender, we can set sender inner text to be user, because we've been seeing that in our logs. User has whoever's sending the message, it has their username in there. Pretty cool. So we can go ahead and do that. Let's just, as a proof of concept, verify that so far everything is working. So I'm going to refresh this, and once again, once a Learn with Jason fan asks Jason a question, we should be able to see exactly who's doing that. I will not be taking questions about the moral, ethic territory, the gray area that is showing another stream's chat in this stream, perhaps. That is morally dubious. But there we go. We can see that my friend Alan actually is already like Alan has just sent a message to Jason right now. So yeah, this part is working. Now we do want to see what Alan is sending or what Swirlo is sending. So let's go ahead and go down to our message contents. Message contents dot inner text equals, and this I should probably find the best property to use here. It could be message. I'm not. No, well, message is an object, and it looks like everything is all sorts of whack here in terms of where everything is. I don't think it's gonna be just chat. Command. That's gonna be weird if it's command, but let's try it. Let's see if this works. I'm gonna refresh this. And we just had a flurry of activity, but of course, as soon as I refresh, look at that! Look at that!
Interesting. Is it command because
I
it can be?
I think that's super cool, y'all.
That is super
so we'll
awesome.
take a moment to pause and see if there are any questions or comments at this point.
This is super cool to see how it all came together so quickly. This is the type of thing that I would not have done. I would have just been like, oh, that's super hard. Actually, I say that because I actively have not done it. It's like on that list of things to do that like I don't want to do. But it's amazing how simply you've been able to do it with the right tool.
And
sure.
from the first try.
Well, yeah. The TMI.js, I'm actually really liking Comfy, and I might have to retool my scene to use Comfy, but it took a lot of trial and error with TMI.js. So, yeah. The next thing I want to do is I want to add some role-specific stuff. So I'm going to assert that if you're a Learn with Jason moderator here, then I want to bold your name. I want to like bold Prince's chat message, for instance. I don't know if Prince is a mod. I don't think they are, but yeah. If you're a moderator, we want to bold your name. And to do this, I think that the way I want to go about this is I want to add a mod-specific class to the sender node. Looks like Ferret's typing real quick. And there's, I mean, we've seen already that there's tons of ways to get like information, tons of information you can get. Looks like the easiest one based on our console logs here is that the message just straight up has a mod Boolean right here that we can leverage. So we could say, for instance, if message dot mod then sender dot classlist dot add mod. So we're going to apply dynamically the mod class to any messages that are by moderators. And so I can come up here and I can say, you know, if we have a paragraph with a mod class, then, you know, font weight bold. We'll test the theory out pretty shortly, assuming any moderators end up commenting. Maybe what I should do just to increase our chances here is, where'd my console log go?
Do you mind me asking a question, Ben, while we kind of wait for something?
Go ahead.
So I'm curious. You're getting these events, and like let's say, so one of the jobs of the moderator, and I know this is totally outside of the scope, but like I was thinking about this while we're waiting. You're getting the events, and one of the jobs of a moderator is going to be to like delete a comment that's like inappropriate for the channel and whatnot. You would have to, because you're getting just the events and not like a full stream of chat that you're like replacing with, you would have to handle those correctly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. and I'm sure that there are events that are dispatched for that. And the way I would probably go about this is I would add like an ID to every like chat list item,
Yep.
and then if someone like if I detect and that ID probably I imagine no one is chatting on Learn with Jason right now. I would imagine that the chat probably has its own ID that comes in the response with, and so when you delete chat, that ID probably is included, and I would just use that. But you're absolutely right. That is something you would want to handle because we're doing everything pretty naively, and also like right now, the way that I'm doing this is completely 100% susceptible to cross-site scripting. Um, uh, so which is maybe not a good, but yeah. I don't know. It doesn't seem like. Yeah. Thank you, Matt. Also, Matt, I didn't get to welcome you in, but hello. Glad you could join us. Uh, how's it going, friend?
Good. Sorry about that. Unexpected phone calls literally all morning today.
Oh no.
Hey, dude, thanks for all that feedback on the testing stuff in Redwood. That was super great.
All right.
Hey Ben, can
Yes.
you check if like it looks already bold to me? Can you check if it's not bold?
This isn't bold. This is definitely not bold. This is unstyled. But this person doesn't appear to be a moderator. But you can update this for based on if someone's a subscriber and stuff like that. Unfortunately, like it doesn't seem like we have a whole bunch of like chats going through right now. But yeah, so these are things you could do, right? Like you could use the like mod information, or you could use the subscribed information to create a whole bunch of just different appearances. So if I pull up, for instance, the I'm gonna pull up the picture that I sent in Showcase the other day, but here we go. So all of this stuff, and right now this is actually me leeching off of a gamers stream, and I was dynamically like adding just it wasn't even like based on actual like moderator status or subscriber status at this point. It was I was just applying using like CSS like nth child, but you could use those kinds of properties, the subscriber mod broadcaster properties, to style these in different ways. I will leave that as an exercise for y'all. So yeah, the next thing is that I ran into a problem pretty quickly, which is that the chat fills up. Especially if you're using like a big name streamer, for instance. In fact, I'm going to do a risky thing here and go to Twitch right now. I'm going to see if anyone's streaming like besides Learn with Jason, like any gamers perhaps. Looks like we've got 20,500 viewers on Rocky Mountain Pro Sports. So let's do a risky thing. Rocky Mountain.
It's so funny. I almost suggested that, and then I was like, maybe he doesn't want to.
I have no idea what the culture here is for Rocky Mountain Pro Sports, and this could be tremendously inappropriate. Also, it doesn't look like it's. I wonder if something's. Well, I'm not getting like any errors or anything. Maybe there's just not a chat in there. That would be wild. Someone's playing Pokemon.
Anyway.
Game's done quick. Cool. Yeah, let's do that then.
Yeah, let's do Pokemon.
Maybe...
I like that.
Absolutely nothing can go wrong with Pokemon. Here we go. Yeah, so this is pretty. This is much more active, at least. Yeah, so we're going to run into a problem, which is that at some point this chat will exceed our div. Right? It's going to get too big. Oh, look, we got a moderator, Moobot. So this Moobot, this is listed as a moderator, and yeah, cool. And we've just exceeded our chat, our little chat box, which is, that's a problem, right? If I come here, obviously I don't want um, our chat to exceed that. I want it to function a lot more like a chat log, where older messages kind of drop off after a bit. And I tried a whole bunch of things. I tried some newer CSS functionality, namely scroll snap. Couldn't get that working. And ultimately, I found that I was able to actually accomplish this with some clever use of Flex that I don't quite remember the specifics of at the moment. So pardon me as I look at my cheat sheet over here on the left. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I've got this div here called chatbox, and inside it has this unordered list. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say in our chatbox, I'm going to add overflow auto. I'm going to add display flex to this and flex direction column reverse. And when I refresh this, we're going to see kind of how this differs, which is that, can I show the whole thing at once? Messages now get added to the bottom, which actually looks a lot more like chat logs that we're used to. It actually looks a little more IRC. Congratulations, CorgiBot, for being featured prominently now in this recording. Yeah, so...
Ben, that is super clever. That is
That's all you need to do.
Super clever. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I just couldn't help but interject. That's clever. I like that a lot.
And I think you can actually just straight up hide the scroll bar in general. So where's so to hide the scroll bar, we're gonna do chat box. So there's several things going on here. One is that there's the overflow auto, which says, hey, if this container overflows, right? If there's more stuff in it, if the stuff inside, if it's children, and it's really, really important that we apply this to the container that the UL is in. If this container, if this container overflows, then we're going to add a scroll bar. And we're doing this display flex and flex direction column reverse, basically to get the behavior where new stuff actually gets added to the, we're still displaying new stuff at the bottom, but now everything floats up to the top, basically. And we're going to use Chatbox with the pseudo element for WebKit scroll bar. And I'm going to say display none. So this is going to target this scroll bar right here and just remove it altogether. I'm gonna. I think it will remove it. It doesn't actually seem to be refreshing my page though. I wonder if something got hung up. Ooh. Here we go. And close that document. Okay. Hopefully this is going to float up to the top, and we will see that we don't get a scroll bar. Now,
Ben, I dropped a mixin from my codes in the chat. You also need to set the width to 0. You're not gonna see that problem here, but if you open it in Firefox, it's still showing it unless you set it to 0.
Sure, but here's the trick, right? I don't anticipate anyone will actually pull this up in any browser other than their default. So if you're planning on pulling this up in Firefox, then yes, you'll need to do this. But we don't need to worry about compatibility beyond whatever our native browser is, because we don't expect users will actually, oh God, why is it overflowing now? Oh, it just hasn't refreshed. we don't anticipate users will actually hit this page. The only user is us and our default browser. So that's the only browser I have to support is my own default, which is Chrome.
Makes
So
sense. Forgot about it.
yeah. So yeah, you can see now I've got my feed up. It loaded this page, and old chat messages are going to drop off the top. New stuff gets added to the bottom. And so we have a functioning chat log that's actually pulling from Twitch. It's actually live and it's getting displayed, and presumably this would be displayed as like part of our stream. Any questions about this?
How does Flexbox work? I still don't know.
Great question. Wizardry and
Great
child
question
sacrifice.
for another stream.
Yep. So obviously this is not the world's prettiest chat overlay, but I leave that as an exercise for y'all to now that you've kind of seen how we could build an overlay like this. You could customize your own overlays to look however you want. I, for one, adore Tomato. And, you know, I like this, you know, kind of retro vibe of just going like straight up unstyled list items. But yeah, anything else?
Ben, this is super cool. I really appreciate you taking the time to show us how this works and kind of how using this tool can make it really easy to add this to your overlays. I would have never even thought about diving into this or like finding the right tool, and like now I'm inspired to actually do something.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
so I just wanted to add one other cool note about the chat and the IRC. I don't remember where I saw it. I think it was on Twitter somewhere, but somebody had it tied into their terminal. So basically, what we're seeing now, but it was going through your terminal on your computer, and that's how she had hers displayed. That's pretty
I've been looking up Visual Studio Code extensions for streaming, right? Things that like make the experience a little more pleasant for streaming viewers. And one of the things I found is there's actually a VS Code extension that will also just like straight up pop your which is also extremely cool, and I imagine leverages much of the same stuff as just viewing it in your like straight up terminal.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
There's other things you would want to do. Like for instance, you can see right here that some people are sending emojis, specifically Empoleon Pokemon emojis, and those are not getting displayed as images. Presumably, if you're doing this as like a proper chat overlay, you would want to do some filtering based on like showing emotes as images, but I don't think we're going to actually do that today. That's a bit of a fancier ask. Yeah, let me go ahead and commit what we've got here and push it up, and that way y'all will have a link to use. And I encourage y'all, if you want, go ahead and clone it and use this yourselves. So hopefully that kind of shows y'all the constraints I wanted to work in, and kind of the tooling that I've been using to build what y'all saw in the showcase the other day.